Okay. Here we are doing a pre-plan for Shelley Chandler and Comp 1 course, and we are going to write lesson objectives.
Okay, so the content objective is analyzing Ethan Frome chapters 5, 6, 7.
Okay, can I ask you, when you say analyze the chapters, is there something specific that you're wanting them to analyze? Are we analyzing character, plot?
Well, I have had them, since day one, have a sheet, and they've been taking notes. So they have read this over the weekend, and they have marked characters, they've marked figurative language, vocab words they don't know. They have a list of things that they've highlighted and marked, and they just took a quiz over 5, 6, 7. So now I'm going through those chapters and making sure that they have what they need to have marked and asking them.
Okay.
So I was thinking my learning objectives, I would say, is that
in your
make-
language objectives?
Sorry,
Yep,
I meant
okay,
language.
Perfect.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So,
And maybe we could go back and tweak the content if you think.
No, okay, that helps me understand though, okay?
Okay.
And it could be that you're going to analyze using students, what did you call them? Notes from,
And
what would you get, summarizing notes? Or
well,
or
it's
not even
the
summarizing.
list of note-taking tips I gave them, and I printed it out, and they have it taped inside of their book. These are their books to write in, so they can highlight and write in the margins. And
Okay, let's just do this, using student notes, because it sounds like it includes a lot of different things.
it does so much. That's why I wasn't sure. Analyzing does a good broad sweep of it, and then I thought the language
Yep.
we could be more
Perfect.
specific.
Okay, so you ready to go down to language objectives
Yes,
there?
yes.
Okay.
So students will be listening to how do I want to say this? Listening to the I don't know if I want to say listening. I'm going to be doing the talking because it's a lecture, but I open it up for them to ask questions. Like I will go through chapter 5 and say, not plot, because they know the plot. I don't want it to be plot. I want it to be, did you notice the simile in the third paragraph? Why is that a simile? Did you write that down? Did you know what the word cupola meant? Did you write that down? I'm doing more of the nuts and bolts of it to how to analyze it. So I'm not
How about
there.
class discussion?
Okay, good. Yeah.
We'll be listening to class discussion on the key points, key vocabulary.
Yeah, well, there's different key vocabulary, key plot keys,
Okay,
character development,
okay,
character analysis. Yeah, and I think that that's what we're going to cover
okay.
in this.
I'll just do that because it's going to involve several things.
It does, and
Okay.
and we have been doing this for 4 chapters
Okay.
so far.
Okay. Now, while they're listening, are they going to be doing any writing?
They might, if somebody shares something that they haven't written down, they can add that to their books.
Okay, so we'll just put writing notes about chapter information.
And I don't know if you want to go, if we get as detailed as, if they think that something, I always say to them, because it's a college class, if you don't write something because you know it, well, that's okay. You don't have to be redundant and write
Right.
something. But if it's something new knowledge to you and you never thought it, then write it down. So it's very individual in this class, and I will check their notes during semester test day. They turn in their books and I go through their books to see how they did with it. So they are getting some sort of an assessment over their book on whether they did it. Now, I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way to do it,
Sure.
but
They have to find their own style.
at some point,
Yes.
I will collect the books.
Yes, okay. I'm just going to put writing notes about the information from class discussion because it can be looking different for everybody.
And can we say that they can share, they will articulate,
Students, oh, I like that.
will articulate their opinions and their findings from these chapters.
I like that. Okay,
Okay.
so now they're listening, they're writing, and they're speaking. And so, very good.
And they've already read.
And they've already read
They've
the
already
reading.
read, so we've hit them.
Well, okay, now part of that lesson then is that we could put that in the objective because students will have read chapters twice.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So would that be in the,
No, I would put it in language.
Language, okay.
objective. Will have read
chapters 5, 6, and 7 of novel?
prior to class time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm seeing so many others. They can also, we also predict what's going to happen next.
Oh.
Students will predict.
Oh, I like that. Okay, students will predict. Do we want to put that in there, articulating? Because are they going to actually speak that part?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes.
And their predictions.
Correct.
Okay, I like it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so very good. Now,
I'm always wondering if I have enough or if I have too many, because I know the purpose of these
Yes.
is to help the kids, but if I have too many of them, it confuses them. But on the other hand, I like it that they can see, you've done all this.
Yeah.
You did all of
Yes.
this today. So,
exactly, and that's what's nice about making them aware of everything they
Right.
are doing
Right.
and are going to do.
I was
so
gonna
it
say-
almost becomes your agenda along
Yes.
with. Yeah.
and if you don't repeat it at the end, which that's my weakness, it gets lost. So if you say, look what we did today, it gives them a
Yes.
sense of accomplishment. We did it, we did
Very
it, we
good.
did it.
That's a good point. Okay, one of the things that they wanted us to kind of emphasize this particular coaching cycle was comprehensible input. So when
Correct.
we get to that, we're going to just select a couple questions
Perfect.
that Lisa Weimer gave us
Perfect.
to go over. Okay.
Perfect.
So how about materials and resources and visuals? What will you need?
Just their text, their novel, which it is theirs to write in. So it's the novel by Edith Wharton, Ethan Frome.
Edith. Oh, I'm sorry.
Edith, Wharton.
And it's called what again?
Ethan, ETHANFROME.
Oh.
It makes more sense the way you did it, but that's not how it is. Sorry.
I know.
That's it.
okay. So they'll need that. Will they need their notebooks?
If they, and any additional notes they took. Some kids are very particular and they don't like to write in their books, which I think is cute. So they have their separate notebook. And I don't care, whatever they have.
From reading. Okay?
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. Now the
And-
comprehensible input.
Yes. So I'd like for you to look at some of these questions and which ones would you like to visit about?
Okay. I want to do, how do you adjust your sentence structure and level of complexity to meet your students at their varied levels of, language proficiency. Now that I'm reading the end of it, I don't need to do that because these are college kids and they're okay. They're
They're proficient.
Yeah.
However, do you want to look at that for their level of thinking?
yeah. What indications do you watch for to identify when your language learners are not comprehending your speech? What strategies or techniques do you use to present oral information clearly and check? Let's do that one. That's that
okay.
one.
So
Okay. What strategies or techniques do you use to present oral information clearly and check student comprehension? And this next part, how does your use of visuals and gestures provide strategic support to ensure learner understanding of your language output? I would like to put that in.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to kind of shorten it with visuals and gestures, okay?
Is that okay?
Mhm.
And then, do I need to do a couple more? Is
No,
this
I think
enough?
that's good. Let's go with that. Okay.
Can you go back up to the materials and tell me if you think this is important, but they need highlighters?
Yes.
Because I really stress that, and I give them techniques on how to highlight, not just marking
Okay.
it, but different ways to do
So then
it.
I'm going to go down to here, and where it says techniques, I'm going to put highlighting. And is there a specific way that you'd like to describe in the notes here?
No,
Oh, you
because
highlight,
I can, no,
Okay. And what are they going to be highlighting?
all of the, they get to choose from the list of things that I gave them, how they're going to highlight, whether they're going to highlight all the figurative language in one color, all the names in a different color, all the numbers in another color, words they don't know. But
So it's color coordinated.
color coordinated, or some of the little darlings use pencil, and it's so hard to read. And I say to them, don't do this for me, do this for you to help yourself.
Yes, yes.
And so why are you using a pencil? It's very hard for them to write in a book, which is odd because they're not used to it. They
Well,
think
because
they're
we've been
damaging
taught
it.
since we were little not to.
I know it. It
not
cracks
to
me
do
up.
it.
They're like, "This is weird, writing in a
Oh, I
book."
can't do
I go,
this.
"It's okay. You'll be fine." But for example, like highlighting instead of just highlighting, if you're going to highlight a whole paragraph, sometimes hiding the whole paragraph is just as useless as not highlighting it.
Yes, it is.
So I taught them how to stripe the page or how to draw your attention to it. I mean, it's just little tips. This is a college course, so I want to teach them how to be good note takers in college. You know,
Very
it's
good.
a combination.
And that will help them with their comprehension
Right,
by
right,
highlighting correctly.
right. And the slippery part of it is, when you have 30 kids, not everyone's going to do it the same.
No.
So when you say to them, you don't have to do it this way, in some of their minds, it gives them permission to not do anything. So I have to say, you got to do something. So,
I would agree with that, though. Teaching that skill is important, especially for these college-bound kids that are going to be doing this on their own. They're not going to have a teacher
no,
at the college level to
to
teach
tell them. And I think we at the high school sometimes assume they know how to do it. And they don't.
No.
They do not know how to do it.
So, okay, I like that. So, your techniques techniques used to present, highlighting is one of them, and I'm going to actually highlight that. How's that sound,
Oh,
Shelley?
very clever, Dee. Fabulous.
Oh, and I highlighted the wrong thing.
It's all right.
Okay,
Okay.
any other techniques?
I think that's enough. I mean,
Any visuals? Because you mentioned visuals.
not visuals, but
Oh.
gestures,
Okay, I'm going to take,
if that's okay.
absolutely.
And I connect a lot to student response, something that they can relate to. So I try to relate it something in my life, and then I try to take something in their life that they can relate it to. When I'm explaining a relationship, I'll use 2 kids in class, and I'll say, "Do you see how creepy it is? If you know the people, well, that's what they're doing."
Yeah.
You know, and
Okay.
in order to do that, you have to have a good classroom climate. You have to know that those kids are okay with you using their names. I mean, there's lots of things to consider. You just can't pick random kids.
Yeah.
But I like to do that, and I think it helps them.
Very good. I agree. And we all know that language learners that especially helps. Okay, so my question is on visuals. I know that you didn't want that, but is there anything that goes up on the screen while you are having this discussion that gives them that connection?
There
to?
isn't. And I'll tell you what I wish. I wish that I had a ladybug in my room.
Yes.
Because I know the ELL teachers have that, and it would just be awesome for them to actually see
it in the book.
my
Yeah.
book that I write notes in.
Okay, could we, I know you need this more than just 1 week though, is the problem.
Right.
Is there any in the library that
Oh
you
yeah,
checked out?
I've checked them out before. It's just other people need it, and it's
So we've had this discussion.
Yeah.
We need them for all instructors.
We do.
Because you could put that book and
Oh,
you
yeah.
could actually show them how you
Exactly.
are highlighting.
I mean, it would be so much easier. It would be the best way to show them.
I'm going to write that actually in your plan.
Oh, thank you. Because I think some kids think they're just talking out of their head. They don't really
Yeah.
have this down,
Yep.
and I think it would validate
Yep.
that we're, hey, we're doing this too.
Okay, so when we get to the actual part when you're actually teaching this lesson, I'm
Okay.
going to be looking for comprehensive input. I'm going to be looking for how your rate of speech, okay,
Okay?
and enunciation, because
Okay.
there's probably going to be some new words, even though that
Yes.
you don't have a lot of L1s in there, but
Right.
these are still new words that
Right.
these kids have to comprehend.
And I do speak quickly, and I am not very good at wait time. I try to be, but it's torturous.
But
It
it-
feels so hard. So do look at that.
I
Do
will.
Look at that.
I will. I know. And your sentence structure, level, complexity. This is a college class, so
Mhm.
it's not that you have to speak in simple terms, but we
Right.
still want them to learn. So, let's go back. And I think you've already answered some of these questions, just so you know, because we're using multiple language domains.
Yep.
We've already talked about that, and you've already talked about your strategies, your tools, and your techniques. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Building background. What about building background? Do you have some certain vocabulary words that you want to, you don't have to do it right now, but if you know there are some vocabulary words from these 3 chapters that are going to be new to them, maybe click those in.
Okay. The reason it's difficult is because everybody is individual. They
Oh,
have
they come
they
up with their own.
they do. I mean, depending on what level they are, I might have some that have 20 words in chapter 5 and some that have 5. And it's okay, it's legitimate because they know them. Their world experience has brought them to them. However, I have noticed that some people just, and I do it myself, read past it because they can see contextually as they're reading what it means.
Oh.
However, when I say, what does that mean? Oh, I thought I knew when I read it. So it's sort of, Edith Wharton wrote in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. So, for example, a girl came up yesterday while they were silently reading and said, "What's this letter?" And it was the schwa E. It was an A and an E put together. And she said, "I don't know what that is." And I go, "Well, it's the schwa E." And she goes, "I don't know what you're saying." I go, "Okay." So we looked it up on Google because I had learned about it in college. And it's so interesting. Authors in the late 1800s and the early 1900s used it. And then they stopped using
They
it.
stopped.
And that was new learning for me. And I go, this is so interesting. It's the middle vowel. And I was explaining, is it important? No.
Because we don't use it
Because we don't use it anymore. But way to go her
Yeah.
that she pointed it out.
She actually, yeah. And so you might just, I'm just thinking, okay, after you've taught these chapters,
Right.
maybe go back if you want to and make a list of the most highly highlighted
Correct,
words by the
right.
students, so that you're aware of that. Maybe there's a group that may someday always skip over a certain word,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
you still need to point it out to them. That's all I can think of.
Good.
Um,
Now you're not content words. You're not thinking figurative language, plot structure, because that's course language, correct?
That's course. That's almost your cross-curricular word.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Because you're using them in, well, maybe not cross-curricular, maybe more of your process and function words. Because
Okay.
isn't it more about
If they're
what
English,
you do in variety of books, not just this book?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
It's a more of a language art
Right.
course words.
Course words.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So kind of go back and think about that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, how can I present this concept so students see how it connects with their background and prior knowledge? I know you said something about you connected to their life.
I try to connect it to their lives. I try to give them real life examples by substituting students for the characters in the novels if I think they're not getting it. And I can kind of tell by the looks on their faces and,
You know what I might do while I'm in there observing is I might jot down some of those examples of what you use, because we as teachers who've been teaching something
yeah.
a long time, we just know it. We
Right.
just know those things. But maybe after, if I make a list of the examples that you
Yeah.
give, you could go back and just
well, that's interesting.
plop-
Yeah.
put it in, and then that way oh yeah, I gotta remember to tell that story.
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. But I understand that those examples change because of students
Right.
change. Okay,
Right.
our time is up.
Okay.
This looks good.
So did we get,
We got through the part we really need to too.
okay, excellent. And so you're coming in, okay?
And I'm coming in Monday.